Greetings everyone. Welcome to today's lecture on art in early India. Art can be described in various ways. For example, there is visual art, there is performative art. Visual art is an umbrella term used for various artistic disciplines that generate emotions through different kinds of skills, drawing, painting, printmaking, sculpture, pottery, photography, video, filmmaking, design, crafts, as well as architecture. These are some of the examples of visual arts. Many creative fields, for example, performing arts, conceptual art, textile arts, include different elements of visual as well as other genres of art. India has had a rich heritage of visual arts, including architecture, sculpture, painting, carvings, etc., which date back to the dawn of human civilization. So when we are talking about visual arts, this would include painting, architecture, sculpture, pottery, etc., while the category of performing art would include dance, as well as different forms of theatre, puppetry, literature, language, songs, ballads, etc. Now presently in this lecture, I would be focusing on the significance of visual arts and also try to trace it historically. Visual works of art convey a narrative and represent the changing human experience from prehistoric cave paintings to contemporary street art. It captures a moment in time that the artist wants to capture. Visual arts provide a window into history and society, as well as a window into past cultural traditions that can't be conveyed in any other way. For the present as well as future generations, artists conserve the rich legacy, traditions, practices, as well as conventions of different civilizations. So, art history gives a window into the growth as well as flourishing of different societies, as well as it captures the stories of their decline. Visual art is an important part of the human existence as well as experience, because it reflects the world and the moment that people have lived in the past, and also about the world and the moment in which they are living in the present. So art has the power to help us comprehend different societies, cultures, history, lives and experiences of people, and all this can be done in a way which no other medium can help in understanding. Now, first of all, I shall be focusing on painting. The technique of putting pigment suspended in a carrier or a medium and a binding agent or a glue to a surface, for example, a paper or a canvas or a wall, is described as painting. When used in an artistic sense, it refers to the employment of these different techniques in combination with the drawing, composition, or any other aesthetic idea to communicate the painter's expressive and conceptual aim. Painting may also be used to represent spiritual motifs, ideals, with examples ranging from legendary figures depicted on pottery as well as the human body. Now, in this context, we can talk about prehistoric art. So, if we have to give an example, prehistoric cave paintings may be seen in several of the Bhimbetka rock shelters, with the oldest dating back 10,000 years. Animals, early indications of dancing, hunting were some of the subjects that were depicted in these cave paintings. So, as you can see in this visual that is being shared on the screen, this is an example of Bhimbetka rock art. Talking about Indus Valley Civilization in the context of architecture. The process and result of planning, designing and constructing buildings or other structures can be described as architecture, which can be another very important visual medium to understand history and culture of different time frames. Presently, I would be giving some examples from Indus Valley Civilization architecture. So, architectural works in the form of structures are regarded as cultural emblems as well as works of art. The architectural achievements of historical civilizations are associated with them frequently. A very important example that can be given here is the Great Bath of Mohenjo-daro, which is an excellent example of Harappan architecture dating back to several thousand years, as you can see in this visual that is being shared on the screen. Now, the next very important category of visual art is that of sculpture. A sculpture is a three-dimensional work of art made by shaping or mixing hard or plastic material, sound or text or light, most typically stone, clay, metal, glass or wood, as well as rocks or marble. Some sculptures are found or carved directly, others were welded, molded or cast after being constructed, erected and fired. Paintings were also frequently used on sculptures. A very good example of sculpture that can be given is that of Mauryan sculpture that is being shown on the screen. Another very interesting example, which is much older than Mauryan sculpture, is that of the dancing girl from Mohenjo-daro, dating back to 2500 BCE. And Ashokan pillar at Sarnath, the visual of which was just shown to you, dating back to around 3rd century BCE. These were some of the famous sculptures from early India. Now, so having discussed these important three categories, which kind of constitute visual arts, let us now take into consideration different art forms as they evolved during Indus Valley Civilization. Indus Valley Civilization definitely holds a key role in understanding evolution of different art forms. The arts of this period definitely can be described as belonging to one of the world's first civilizations that evolved throughout the second millennium. Many civilization sites have yielded sculptures, seals, ceramics, gold jewelry, terracotta figurines, as well as other works of art. The arts of this civilization give immense details about the life of people of those times. So, during the second millennium, the arts that flourished during this civilization not only catered to sculptural art forms but also seals, ceramics, jewelry, terracotta figurines, and they were discovered at different sites belonging to this civilization. Their depiction of human and animal forms were extremely lifelike, and the modeling of figures was done with great caution. Now, this lifelike depiction of different objects is the hallmark of images that were kind of developed during this period. Along the Indus River, there are two significant Indus Valley Civilization sites, Harappa and in the north, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro in the north, and several other sites, for example, Kalibangan, Lothal, Rakhigarhi, also kind of indicating the vast spatial extent of this civilization. While Harappa and Mohenjo-daro presently are in Pakistan, notable sites discovered in India include Surkotada, Dholavira, Lothal in Gujarat, Rakhigarhi and Banawali in Haryana, and Ropar in Punjab. The major materials that were used for different kinds of artistic works were stone, bronze, terracotta, clay, etc. The handling of the 3D effect can be seen in some of the stone figures found in Indus Valley sites. And the two major stone statues that can be described in this category were a bearded man or a priest man, also known as a priest king, in Mohenjo-daro. The main features of this figure were a stereotype figurine of a bearded male. The figure is covered in a shawl that comes under the right arm and covers the left shoulder, indicating that it belongs to that of a priest. And the shawl also has a trefoil design on it. And the image kind of indicates the mood of concentration. The eyes are extended and partially closed. As you can see in this visual that is being shared, all the features that I have just described, the shawl with the design draped on the shoulder and the eyes in a contemplative mode, all these can be seen. Another very important feature of art of this period was bronze casting. It was conducted on a large scale in practically all of the civilization's main sites. Bronze casting was done primarily using the lost wax technique. Let us now discuss as to what was the lost wax technique that was used to make these art forms. So, in the beginning, the required figure was formed of wax and it was coated with clay. After allowing the clay to dry, the entire assembly was heated to melt the wax within the clay. The melted wax was then drained out of the clay section through a small hole, and like this, the desired figure was attained. The molten metal was then poured into the hollow clay mold. The clay coating was fully removed once it had cooled. The bronze casting included both human as well as animal representations. The buffalo with its raised head, back and sweeping horns, and the goat among animal representations are definitely aesthetic assets belonging to this period. Bronze casting was popular in most of the locations of Indus culture, as evidenced by the copper animals that have been found, for example, dog and bird of Lothal, and the bronze figure of a bull from Kali Bangan. Metal casting persisted until the late Harappan, Chalcolithic and other peoples following the Indus Valley Civilization. Another very good example of bronze casting can be that of the dancing girl. Found in Mohenjo-daro, it is one of the best known artifacts from Indus Valley. It depicts a girl whose long hair is tied in the bun and bangles cover her left arm. Cowrie shell necklace is seen around her neck with her right hand on her hip and her left hand clasped in a traditional Indian dance gesture, as you can see in this visual that is being shared on the screen. This is the visual of the famous dancing girl. Another interesting example is that of the bull from Mohenjo-daro, which again is a bronze statue. The bull's massiveness and the charge are vividly depicted. Its charging expression is clearly depicted. The animal is seen standing to the right with its head cocked, and a cord is wrapped around the neck. So, having discussed with you all these important features of Indus Valley Civilization, one clearly can acknowledge that what an important contribution, especially in the sense of bronze casting as well as different art forms like terracotta statues were made during this period. And not only this kind of created a trend that the future civilizations were going to follow, but it also kind of indicated the great diversity that existed during the contemporary traditions. Thank you.